1 o'clock, so we got another minute or two.
Yeah, people are just now joining.
Look, if you want to throw it in the chat, you know, if you got anything big coming up for the holidays, going somewhere cool, doing something super fun. We're talking about doing a staycation, and so we're thinking about doing like Georgia Aquarium, College Football Hall of Fame, like all sorts of fun stuff here in Atlanta. You know.
We also want to thank everyone that was able to join for the in-person networking event last month. So for those of you that maybe couldn't make it, we had our very first in-person face-to-face meeting in what guys, like almost 2 years or so. And it was at Scofflaw Brewery. We want to thank Jen Lisborg, who's on this call. Her video is off, but she did so much planning and put a lot of energy and effort into this, and it was awesome. We probably had about maybe 60, 70 folks. Do you think, Anna and Nelson?
At least that many. It might have been closer to 100. But
yeah,
we are being told it's 100.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Sorry, I got that totally wrong. Yeah.
I don't know who, and I think you did that one too, but like they need to come back. That thing was awesome. It was so good to see everybody.
Yeah, it really is. Should we go ahead and start? Like, we won't fully start, but since it's after 1, you want to go ahead
we do have a guest though. We want to ask her what she's doing for the holidays, and I would like to know what Sarah is doing. And I love just listening to Sarah talk.
Can you talk?
I love listening to you talk. Your accents are so much nicer than mine. But so I'm joining from the UK. Holiday plans, just probably staying at home, seeing family, nothing exciting. So yeah,
tell us more.
Just keep talking.
There's nothing to tell, Nelson. So I'm going to talk for 45 minutes, so you'll hear tons of my accent coming up. Yeah.
We're very excited to have you here. We really want to thank you for being here. What time is it in London?
It's about 6 o'clock at night.
Thank you thank you so much for joining us. This is really cool. It's a special treat for us.
It's for me too. I was saying to you before, I've always wanted to talk at Atlanta Tug, and I've spoken at so many tugs, but never Atlanta. So it's really exciting for me to be here today. So really appreciate you offering to allow me to talk.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
As you well know, there's a beautiful, healthy rivalry between our tugs, right? You know, we like to claim that we were the first, as does London. I'm told, and so we can arm wrestle that next time we see each other. To figure that out. But
totally. You're putting us to shame with all your planning. You are putting London Tug to shame. I'll just say that we need to do our planning for next year.
It's all Jen. She makes us do everything. Cracking the whip. All right, Karen, you want to tell us about it?
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. So let me know. Can you guys see this? It's the ATUG dashboard on Tableau Public. You guys can see it? Okay, cool. So I just want to highlight on the slide that was just up a minute ago, you could see the calendar for next year. You saw a lot of red. The calendar right now still defaults to showing all of our 2021 meetings. And for those of you, if you haven't been out here or seen, ATUG has a calendar on Tableau Public. If you type ATUG dashboard, it'll direct you to my Tableau Public. And this is out here, and it's kept up to date, and it's just a record of all of our meetings. You can find old meetings all the way going back several years. You can watch videos of any meetings that you've missed, and it'll help you plan for meetings for next year. So if you want to get meetings for ATUG on your calendar, if you want to prioritize attending any of these, you can get like specifics of what days and when the meetings, when we're planning, and what's being planned. So you see a few are yellow. Over here, we don't have them planned out as much, and they're in red currently. It's just because I've got it flagged that we need a host. That's not necessarily to say that we will be meeting in person, but we're throwing out there, like, if anyone is interested and able to host the group. So you can actually hover over any of these, and if you're interested in hosting the meeting, there's a link that you can click and it'll email us. So it'll put you right in touch with us. So definitely let us know if that's something you're interested in. But let me go back to my slide because I'll just give you guys, or maybe Anna, Nelson, if y'all want to, I don't want to do all the talking, but feel free to tell everyone a little more about our meeting plan for January and February.
Yes. Anna, do you want to take it? You want me?
I'll let you take it.
Sweet. So January, we are super excited. I know we've got Jade Wimpy, who's going to be sharing about how to bring Miro, which is like an online virtual whiteboard, great collaboration tool, how we use Miro along with Tableau in order to do data analytics projects and stuff like that. So, you know, assuming we continue to live in virtual land, this would be a really interesting session for everybody. And then Tableau calendars. Who's our speaker on the calendar?
Paul Lisborg.
So you've known that. So building as you're looking at this Tableau calendar right here, you know, Paul's going to help us talk about calendars and dates and so forth. So definitely want to come check that out. And you want to talk about February?
Yeah, all I know is that we had an amazing collaboration between Nicole and Oana, and tell me if I'm saying her name wrong. But I think
it's Wana.
Okay. I knew
Wana,
I was
I'm
doing
sorry if I'm totally saying it wrong. Yeah.
They've done some great work
from Iron Viz.
Yes.
Say it again.
ATUG's Iron Viz.
Yes.
So
those
may
are our Iron Viz winners, right? Or they were one of our winners. We had a few.
They were.
So they're going to be talking about their collaboration. Can we say any more than that, or are we just gonna leave it open?
No, that's good. I think that's about all. They recently had a visit of the day to ATUG members, and I think it was a climate change viz. And it was really, it was either really horizontal or really long. I cannot remember, but it was really nice and very well done. So they're going to cover like how they built it, how they worked together to build it, like virtually. So that'll be pretty interesting. So
Juana and Nicole do such a good job of not only creating in Tableau, but collaborating. So I really want to know more about that piece, because sometimes little collaborations, that's where a lot of us fall apart, right? So
that it can be hard to do. I feel like, especially, right? Yeah, no, totally.
They won a couple of awards too. So that with that viz you're talking about, they it was horizontal, Karen. They won the Project Climate Viz Challenge, the one that was run with the climate summit that was on in Glasgow recently. They won the Tableau competition for that, or they were in the top 3 at least, and they won Women in Analytics. They're on one of their collabs, so they're like really like crushing it.
No, they are. I knew that they had won a Women in Analytics Viz, but I didn't realize that was the same one. So that's pretty cool.
It wasn't.
That's awesome.
It wasn't. It was a different. It was a different viz, but they won. They've won like 2 awards back to back.
2 vizes.
No, that's cool.
Twice the awesomeness.
And honestly, on that note, because you know, we're really proud of our ATUG user group members. If you have a viz that you've created or something that you've come up with, or this new use case for something in Tableau, come and reach out to us, talk to us. We'd all love to share it. We would love for you to present. So to reach out to us if you want to present on something you've created.
Hey, before we move to the next thing, Karen, real quick, go back to the 2022 calendar. So for awareness, we recently learned that the Alteryx conference is going to be in Denver, I believe the 16th through the 18th or 19th of May. And then my understanding is, and there's nothing official, but there is a Tableau conference is actually planning to be in late spring / early summer. So those dates are, I would say, in kind of the May-June timeframe would be tentative as more information comes about. So
exactly. Yeah, I should have highlighted that for everyone watching, but we normally don't plan a meeting in November because of the Tableau conference. So that's why you see it blank over here, but we may end up doing a November meeting and maybe canceling a different month whenever we get the announcement about TC for 2022. You'll also notice too, maybe I should mention this, July, we've decided to hold off on a meeting in July, just with a lot of people's schedules and people out for summer vacation. It's never been like a super big attendance month, so we decided to give ourselves a break here. But anyway, at least this is always out on Tableau Public. So if it's kept up to date. It refreshes itself every day. So if a change is made, you'll see it. Nelson, you want to walk through the agenda?
Yeah, super excited. As you all know and see, we are excited to have Sarah with us today. She is a Tableau Zen master. She has been a huge member of the Tableau community in so many different ways. So we're super grateful to have her here. She's also an honorary member of the Tableau Conference Cabin that Karen and I got to hang out at. So that was super fun too. But Sarah's going to talk us through tons of, like kind of the download. So if you didn't get to do the keynote and devs on stage and stuff like that, like Sarah's going to walk you through some of the great content that was out there. And then we're going to have our Kahoot, and we'll have a little bit of Q&A and just kind of see what happens. So it's going to be really fun. And with that, Karen, do we want to throw it over to Sarah?
Yes. Feel
Awesome.
free to share your screen, Sarah. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm really excited to be presenting today here. I'm just going to stop my video for this because I'm presenting on a different screen, so it will be like kind of distracting. But hopefully you can see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you everyone for having me. Like I said, I'm really excited to be here. Today we're going to be going through a Tableau conference recap. So you may recall the Tableau conference happened back in November. So we're going to be talking through that, and I'm going to be covering some of the stuff that you may have missed. So thanks for the intro, Nelson. I think you've covered exactly what I have on this slide. But my name's Sarah Bartlett. I work at Red Hat as a Tableau enablement consultant on the Tableau Center of Excellence team. So I work there helping enable users with Tableau. I'm a 2-time Tableau Zen master and a 4-time Tableau ambassador. I actually switched ambassador branches this year, so I was a social ambassador and I'm now a public ambassador, co-leader of the London Tug, and also the founder of the Iron Quest project. So in terms of the agenda today, first of all, I'm going to cover the new product features that were mentioned during Devs on Stage. Then I'm going to do a quick recap of Iron Viz. And then I'm going to go through what I think are the must-see sessions from the conference. And I'll be sharing links to all those sessions with QR codes, so you can easily click through and go and watch them. They're all about 20 minutes long as well, so they're all really easy to consume. But before I jump in, let's just look at some stats from TC at a glance. So this year's Tableau conference had an amazing 113,000 registrants, which was up from 100,000 in 2020. And that's just mind-boggling for me. It's really great to see so many people getting involved. And the attendees came from a total of 195 countries around the world, which again is incredible. Maybe you had a chance to participate in Tableau Doctor at conference, but if you did, there were 990 Tableau Doctor appointments completed. I had the honor of working as a Tableau Doctor this year, something that's offered to Zen Masters. So it was really great to actually meet one-on-one with people and help them with some Tableau feedback or help them through some Tableau issues they were experiencing. It's always such a valuable experience to do that. So if you didn't get involved in Tableau Doctor, please do next time. The appointments always book up really quickly. So but it's a really great chance to meet one-on-one with Tableau experts. There were 287 brain dates conducted, which again is mind-boggling for me. So brain dates are where you can meet in groups of about 5 to 6 people and talk about specific topics. And I've seen that brain dates were so popular that people are still having brain dates now. So they're arranging these sessions kind of offline. So that's been really great to see how the community's been connecting through those. And then finally, there were 308 session episodes. So I think that number's tripled because each session was shown in each region. So APAC, EMEA, and North America. Yeah, 308 sessions in total. Okay, so moving on to the new features announced at Devs on Stage. I will say this doesn't cover everything, but this covers some of the key features that I think personally are really exciting. And as always, you know, things may change. They may not look exactly like they do here. These are I'm just using screenshots from the Devs on Stage session. I would encourage you to go and watch that session, maybe after this today, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about some of these features, because I'm going to cover them really quickly. So to kick off then with the first part of Devs on Stage focused on the core analytics experience. So this is primarily focused on desktop. So the first feature they announced was visualization extensions, which is targeted to come in H2 2022. So this is essentially they call it an extension, but it's really just a drag and drop interface which enables you to build complex charts easily without using any complex calculations. So what this does is it brings in a new mark type that enables you to build charts such as flower or petal charts like the one you see on the screen, sunburst charts, donut charts, Sankey diagrams, chord diagrams, and I think that's just like the initial list. They're exploring building out other charts through this feature too. So what will happen is with this feature, you would select a new mark type. As you can see, I've circled it here. So in this case, we're looking at a flower chart. And then with that, you get something called a mark designer. And that enables you to fine tune every part of your viz. So you can change the fill color, you can change the borders, the transparency, you can do a pattern fill, all that kind of thing to make it look exactly how you want it to look. And if you've ever kind of worked with custom charts in Tableau, you'll know that this will save a ton of time because currently you need to structure your data in a certain way. You need to kind of maybe design each of the elements outside of Tableau before you bring them in as perhaps shapes. And so this is just, I can see this just being a huge feature for the community, but also in the workplace as well, because it's going to make charts such as donut charts so much more accessible, and they're the kind of charts you see quite a lot in business dashboards. And along with this feature, you'll be able to share templates via the new Viz gallery, which they announced at TC again. I don't think it's live yet, but from there you'll be able to kind of look at what other people have done, download what they've built, and then you can use that kind of their templates to share in your own work as well. And then just an example of some of the charts that might be available through this feature, you've got a sunburst chart. This one's by example by Lindsay Betzendahl. The petal chart, I think this is an example by Sarah Bartlett, and then just an example of donut charts here. Carrying on with the core analytics experience, the next feature they announced was dynamic dashboard layouts. So this is targeted to come in at H1 2022. So as you probably know, if you build dashboards regularly, in order to create highly customized interactive dashboards, it can be quite difficult to kind of bring everything together and make it interactive in the way that you want it to be. And usually end up using a couple of hacks along the way to get everything working as you would like. But with dynamic dashboard layouts, we'll be able to use parameters placed on the dashboard to control exactly what you see and when. So in this example, you can see at the top of this dashboard here, we have a breakdown by state, and it's currently set to show, but that is the parameter, so it will be a show hide kind of parameter. And here the way that the user would interact with the dashboard is they would come in and they'd only initially see this calendar view, and then they would select a date range in the calendar, and it will display this container at the bottom, which then gives you a breakdown for those particular dates, a breakdown by sales by state and product, but they wouldn't see those two charts at the bottom initially. So this feature is kind of similar to show hide containers, but will operate using either a parameter or a calculated field, or the two combined. So it's much more powerful, and I think it's much more dynamic in terms of what you can do with it. It could also be tied to dashboard actions, so you control exactly what your dashboard looks like, and you can really control and fine tune exactly what people see and when. And I think this feature will be particularly helpful for anyone that has a dashboard where they want to control which charts are shown in what particular order. So perhaps you only want people to see a subset of your dashboard first until they've made some selections, and then at which point you'd want them to see some additional charts. So yeah, this feature looks really exciting, and I'm excited to play with it. Okay, moving on, another one that I'm particularly excited about, and it's something particularly basic, but it's something that we wanted for a long time, and it's the new view data experience, which is targeted to come in H1 2022. So the view data experience is where it currently exists, and it's where you you click on a mark and you can right click and you click to show or view data, and then you get a pop-up window appear with the data behind that mark. Now that's the current kind of experience. As you will know, currently that view is pretty limited. You can't really do much with it. You view the data as it is. You can't change anything there. You can't reorder the columns or anything like that, which can be quite frustrating. So you end up kind of exporting it out to Excel or CSV quite often, and then editing it in CSV. Now with this new feature, with the new view data experience, what you'll be able to do is actually customize what you see in that pop-up window. So you'll be able to control what columns you see. You'll be able to add in additional columns or additional fields. You'll be able to sort the fields, sort the columns. You'll be able to sort the data within the columns as well, so you could order it in a particular way, and just really customize that screen so you can get it exactly how you want before you export it to CSV. Now that's in the initial release. So in the future developments, and that would be, I must say, that will be open to everyone. So whether that be creator, viewer, explorer, but in the future developments, as a dashboard creator, what you'll be able to do is actually curate that view data experience, so you can define exactly how you want your dashboard users to be able to see that data and export that data. So if your data makes sense to always be in a particular fashion, you'll be able to customize exactly what you want, save it, and then everyone else will have the same experience when they go and download the data for themselves. So I can see this being a real time saver. So really excited to see it come to life. Okay, so moving on, another feature that I'm really excited about is the Workbook Optimizer. So this is coming in 2021.4, so literally the next version. So when you publish a workbook from Tableau Desktop, you'll see a new option to select prior to publishing, which enables you to turn on the Workbook Optimizer. Now, I guess at the moment, if you want to run any performance recordings, you use the performance recording feature. It then kind of gives you a workbook to show you the performance of your everything and how everything's running, or to identify any issues. That current experience isn't particularly user-friendly. Like personally, I find it very difficult to interpret what the performance recording workbook is telling me. You don't really know what you should change to improve the performance. So this kind of makes that whole experience much more user-friendly, in my opinion. So the optimizer will scan through your workbook and look for potential areas to improve performance. It will then give you it kind of checks your workbook against, in this example, 20 performance check criteria. And then it provides suggestions on what can be improved, broken down into 3 categories. So you have critical things. So these are things that Tableau suggests you absolutely should do, since they can severely impact the workbook performance. Then you have some warnings. So these are things that you could potentially impact performance, but are less adverse than the critical items. And then you get a list of things also that have passed. So these are things that already meet best practice and don't need any action. And if I go to the next slide, you'll see that, and underneath all of these, you get a breakdown of exactly what kind of Tableau is suggesting you do. And this is all in line with the kind of like building performant workbooks best practices that Tableau have. There's a white paper out there that you can go and look at today. They're kind of bringing that into the desktop experience. And then I've heard that, through these, you'll be able to click through to some more guidance on each of these items as well, so you can understand best practices a little bit better. Now, I'm really excited about this because I know workbook performance almost everywhere where I've worked in consulting and in my current organization can be a problem, especially with newer users when they don't really know how to kind of design performant workbooks. So this I see as being not only a really helpful feature, but it will help educate people on how to design workbooks that are performant and kind of things to avoid. And you get a score at the end as well. So you could track that score to see, okay, I've maybe passed 10 out of 20. What can I do to pass more kind of measures and make my workbook 20 out of 20 so that I pass all those features. So yeah, really excited to see this come in, and as I said, it's coming in 2021.4 as well, so we should be able to play with it pretty soon. Okay, moving on then, another one in the core analytics experience is the data change radar. So this is coming in H1 2022. And this will monitor dashboards that are saved on Tableau Online or server to see if there have been any meaningful data changes. So this kind of works in the background. It's different to subscription alerts in the sense that with subscription alerts, you get an email or some kind of notification to tell you that something has changed. Here you will see the data change radar kind of icon pop up on dashboards where there has been a meaningful data change. So that's your kind of visual indicator that something's changed, at which point you can then go into the dashboard and kind of understand that a little bit further. So it's constantly monitoring your dashboards behind the scenes, and kind of trying to identify anything that has changed that could be meaningful. So from here, let's say you've identified there's been a change through this icon, you could click through and click into the dashboard to actually see what's going on. So in the workbook, Tableau will show a list of data changes in the new data changes pane, which appears on the right hand side right next to the dashboard or the worksheet. So in this example, we can see that Tableau saying there's been 2 marks with unexpected data changes, and then we can see one of those is that Sean Miller has higher than predicted sales. So we can click into that and explore it a little bit more. And just bear in mind, again, this is all next to the dashboard still. So I think I've missed. Yeah, sorry, I missed out a slide, but there's the initial view is that you get a chart to show how, in this case, Sean Miller's sales have increased. So that's kind of telling you what happened. But then we could actually use the power of explain data, which is existing functionality in Tableau, to help explain that change. So why did his sales increase? So in this example, Tableau is giving us 3 possible explanations as to why Sean Miller's sales increased based on the other data in the data set. Now, from here, you can go through and use the current explain data functionality, but unlike the current explain data experience, you'll see this is happening outside of the kind of the mark. So currently, to get to explain data, you would click into a mark and click on the light bulb and go from there. You can see this is all happening at the side of the dashboard, so it's all kind of alongside your analysis, which I think is much more powerful. And yeah, so you get these explanations and you can click through and explore that explain data experience as it is today. And then in a similar vein, they're also announcing Explain the Viz, which is happening in H2 2022. So this highlights which data points might be interesting for users to explore at a dashboard level, making it easier for anyone to explore and interact with their data. So it's particularly powerful for anyone that's perhaps not familiar with the dashboard, or they're not familiar with the data that's being presented to them. And again, this is building upon explain data functionality, but it's bringing it to the dashboard level and not that mark level, like I explained before. So to use this feature, you'd go into the dashboard that's published to either server or online. You'd click a Discover button at the top of the screen, which looks exactly the same as the Explain Data button with the light bulb, at which point it would pop out this Discover pane on the right-hand side. And then if we drill into this a little bit more, we can see in the Discover pane, it's telling us that there's been some unexpected data changes, and there's a couple of outlier marks that we might want to explore. So in this scenario, Explain Data will look at other dimensions which are not on the dashboard. So perhaps they're in your data source, but they're not being used in the analysis on the dashboard to help explain what's happening with the data. And I think this is going to be really powerful because it could bring to light some analysis that maybe your dashboard creator hasn't considered, that you could then go back to them and say, hey, I can see this is impacting this. Perhaps we want to add this to the dashboard. So I think it's going to be a really, really powerful feature. Okay, so moving on to Tableau Prep. There was a couple of new features announced of Tableau Prep during Devs on Stage. I've only got one in this presentation because otherwise we'd be here all day. But the one that I want to call out is Parameters in Prep, which is coming in 2021.4. So parameters are coming to Tableau Prep. Parameters in the sense, just like as they are in Tableau Desktop. And these will really help to make our flows more flexible and reduce any redundant work. So with parameters in Prep, they'll be able to be applied to input and output steps. So they could be used to filter data. So in this example here, in the Devs on Stage presentation, they were looking at song data, and the parameter is being used on a genre. So you can filter the flow down to a particular, or isolate the flow down to a particular music genre. And then you can then use that parameter again when naming output results. So currently in Tableau Prep, if you need to make small changes to just a few values, you'd need to republish the entire flow. But with parameters in Prep, you can run that flow for only selected parameters that you need to change. You don't need to change everything and rerun it for everything. You can narrow it down to those particular parameters that you're interested in. And then it can be useful if you need to run the flow multiple times and have multiple outputs. So if you think of the example of genre again, so imagine you're running the flow once per genre. Without the parameters, you'd end up with multiple output files and you'd have to kind of name them individually. Whereas here, you can actually use that parameter in the output. So it would automatically apply the genre name to that output file, which makes it a lot easier. So really excited to see this in action. And again, this is coming in the next release. Okay, moving on to Tableau Server and Online. Again, this is just one of the features they announced, but the one I want to talk about is the slow view load requests, which is coming in H1 2022. So if you're a Tableau admin, you'll be able to use this feature to quickly diagnose where things are running slowly on Tableau Online or on Tableau Server. So this new view, which is this chart here, will help us to monitor dashboard load times. So you can use this to kind of triage system issues and help solve problems faster. And the way this works is that it looks at dashboard load times across your entire kind of environment, and then it sets a baseline, and then it measures the load times for each of your workbooks versus that baseline to see what's running slowly or what's failed entirely. And then what you can do from here is you could just highlight kind of a subsection of the timeline and actually drill in, and you get then this view, which gives you a little bit more detailed breakdown of those particular kind of activities, and then you can filter them and just drill it down to exactly what you want to investigate a little bit further. But I really like how this is bringing a more visual kind of element to the Tableau admins to use. Just makes it, I personally think, makes it easier to understand. So again, H1 2022, this is coming in. Okay, moving on to Tableau Public. So Tableau Public was actually part of Devs on Stage this year for the first time ever, I believe. They don't usually get their own section, but a lot's been happening with Tableau Public. And the good news is the two features I'm going to talk about today are actually live already, so you can go and use them right now. So the first one is the Discover page. So this is available via the Discover tab at the top of Tableau Public. So if you log into your Tableau Public account and click Discover, what you'll see is this new kind of Discover experience. And I think it's quite similar to what you see on something like Spotify, when you go into Spotify and you see kind of recommended playlists or artists based on your listening habits, and also any new content from your favorite artists. It's exactly the same as that, but for Tableau Public. So you'll be able to use this to, first of all, keep track of Visit of the Day, so you can see the most recent Visit of the Day first, and then kind of click into that Visit of the Day gallery to explore those in more detail. You also have kind of a feed of like new vises from both authors you already follow and perhaps some new authors as well, based on your kind of Tableau Public habits, the type of vises that you like and that kind of thing. But it gives you personalized recommendations. So what you see on your Discover page will be different from what other people see on theirs. And this is quite a long page. I mean, I've only got a small screenshot here, but if you scroll further down, you have curated topical channels, which are used. They've created these collections of vises based on different topics or different types. So you may see a collection of vises using radial charts, for instance. You might see a collection of vises, or sports vises or music vises. You might see a collection of business dashboards, and you'll be able to click into this experience. And these are vises that may be from people you follow, they may not be, that may be from new authors, but it's really great to kind of discover content that you may have missed otherwise in the kind of old experience on Tableau Public. And then what I'm really excited about is coming soon is that you'll be able to create your own channels based on your interests. So you'll be able to create this experience even further. So I know currently I go for a favorite a lot of vises on Tableau Public, but there's no way of kind of organizing those favorites. It's just one big list. What I'm really excited about is that you'll be able to create collections based on things that you like. So I know I favorite a lot of business dashboards that I want to then go reference later. I'll be able to put those in their own channel, and perhaps I'll be able to put all the Iron Quest vises as an example into their own channel. And you'll be able to create as many channels as you like and really create the experience so it's something that's meaningful to you. At the moment, those collections of vizzes are being created by Tableau, and yes, they're updated quickly, but they may not all meet your needs. So really excited to see this come in. And then the other Tableau Public feature that was announced, this is actually announced in the keynote at Tableau conference, was the Hire Me button. So again, this is available now, and you have to switch this on, but it literally takes a couple of minutes to do. It's really, really simple. And what will happen is once you switch this on is you'll have this new Hire Me button which appears on your Tableau Public profile. We're showing off lovely Priya's Tableau Public profile here. But what this is designed to do is that really promote your work, and Tableau have recognized that a lot of people use their Tableau Public profile as a way to show off their Tableau portfolio and help them to land both maybe consulting work or even new employment opportunities. So here, I think the disconnect before was that you could look at someone's Tableau Public profile, but you couldn't necessarily contact them. So with the Hire Me button, you'll be able to kind of plug in your email details, and then someone will be able to click the button and then contact you directly if they're interested in hiring you or interested in your work or speaking to you for any reason. And it also flags to people that you're interested in that kind of thing as well if you set it up. So it's kind of a flag to say, yes, I'm available for work, just like you see on LinkedIn. So I highly encourage you to check that out if it's something you're interested in. It's really easy to set up. It literally, I think it took me like a couple of minutes. But yeah, check that out. Okay, so I realize I'm talking really fast, but I've got a lot of content to cover. So moving on to IronViz. Hopefully you had a chance to watch IronViz at conference. If not, I'm going to give you a quick recap. So this year, the IronViz finalists were Lisa Trescott, Pradeep Kumar, and Sam Parsons, and they were selected from 320 participants of the feeder, which is based on data plus joy. So we saw 320 vizzes published for that, and these were the top 3 scoring entries or authors of those entries. So I mean, before I go any further, it was really nice to see the diversity in the finalists this year. So we had Lisa from California, Pradeep from India, and then Sam from down the road from where I live. He's lives about probably half an hour away from me. So in terms of what they had to do in the final, hopefully you're familiar with IronViz. I'm not going to go too much into what IronViz is, but essentially the 3 finalists have to build a visualization in 20 minutes live. I say on stage, but it's kind of live from home in a virtual environment using the same data set. So in this case, the theme was music and the data was provided by Chartmetric. And they had a huge data set of nearly 200 million records spanning several years. And it included things like artist popularity, metadata, YouTube listening data, and lots of Shazam data as well. So Shazam is, if you're not familiar, is an app where you can go and kind of, it tells you what song you're listening to if you just hold it to like a speaker or something like that. And it's a way that people discover new music and new artists. Now their entries were scored against 3 criteria, and that's analysis, design, and storytelling. So that the judges were really looking for them to excel in these 3 areas with their entries. So we go through the entries one by one. First up, we've got Pradeep, and his viz was on music discoveries. So here, Pradeep used a custom color palette for artist pronouns, so like she, her, he, him, and the orange represents bands, so where you've got multiple members of like different pronouns. And then what he did was he's really trying to look at how people discover new music, and then the music they discover, who is the artist behind that music? Are they someone that identifies as them as a she, her, or he, him, or are they a band? So his analysis looked at nearly 1,400 top artists from 20 countries, and just from those countries to understand how people in those countries discover new artists. So it was really interesting to see, the breakdown by pronoun, by region, because we could see in like most regions in this chart, the majority of artists people were discovering identified as a he, him, but then in APAC, the he, him, and she, her pronouns were almost level, which I thought was a really interesting insight. And then I really like this viz because you can really help find yourself in the data, because you can explore your own country and see how people are discovering music in your country. And the whole design was really clean, the colors were consistent, and it was really easy to consume dashboard that looks just really great. So moving on then to Lisa Trescott, she took a slightly different approach, and her focus was on breakthrough artists. So she initially used a logarithmic scale to compare the rank of artists, and this was looking at the data provided by Chartmetric. So they use a cross-platform performance rank, and from that she identified 3 breakthrough artists, because she looked at kind of their initial kind of YouTube views, and you can see that 3 artists kind of stood out. Their YouTube views kind of accelerated through earlier this year in 2021, and those 3 artists were Giveon, the Kid Lorai, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and Olivia Rodrigo, and then she just focuses on those 3 artists to look at their Shazam kind of listening, the Shazam Discover kind of listening history, and their path to kind of that stardom really. She uses the pages shelf, so you can see in this, when you saw this live, she showed animation to see how they were discovered over time, and it was really brilliant storytelling to see it all come together. Again, I recommend watching the video back, because you'll see this, it's much more powerful than just looking at a static image alone. But again, great design, consistent use of colors. I like how the colors really pop, and it was just really great to see this come alive when she presented it. And then finally, we have Sam Parsons' viz, which is on the influence of tech on music. And I must say that this screenshot does not do this viz justice. It's the way that the viz is structured. Sam used show hide containers and collapsible show hide containers. So they enabled him to really slowly reveal a guided story. So you initially see this view, and then you click next, and that kind of truncates this view and shows another view, and then you show another view, and it kind of tells the story in a curated way. So it's really difficult to take a screenshot of that, because it only works really when it's being shown live. But the way that Sam focused on the data was, he looked at how new artists are establishing themselves in the Chartmetric top 100 rankings, and how tech impacts their fortunes. And the tech here was really TikTok. So his data story demonstrated the power of TikTok, and how artists were using TikTok to be discovered, and then after their path to stardom really through TikTok, and then how that then showed how they performed in other mediums like YouTube and Shazam and that kind of thing. So it was funny that he actually got to the same result as Lisa in terms of the artist he was looking at, but he took a slightly different approach with it. So those are the 3 entries. They were all amazing. It must have been really tough for the judges to pick a winner, but obviously there was a winner, and the winner was Lisa Trescott. So, and if you're on, congratulations, Lisa. But I was really excited to see Lisa win. Like, not only did she build an amazing dashboard, she did a fantastic job telling her story on stage or in that live recording. And it's worth noting that Lisa is only the 4th woman to reach a global IMVIS final. So she's preceded by Lindsay Poulter in 2019, the late Kelly Martin in 2013, and Anya Ahern in 2012. But nobody, or no female had won the IMVIS competition since Anya in 2012. So that was 9 years ago. So it was so great to see Lisa take that title, and yeah, really, really happy for her. All right, so moving on, hopefully I'm good for time. Now I'm going to talk about some must-see sessions, and these are must-see sessions from my perspective. Obviously there's over 100 sessions, but it can be really difficult to navigate the online portal where you can view all these sessions and know kind of what's good or what's worth watching. So hopefully this will give you some kind of guidance on sessions you should catch up on that you may have missed live. And these are a whole kind of a cross section of sessions, but I've tried to pick sessions that are kind of applicable to everyone, and you'll see a lot of the community sessions in here. So if you do want to catch up on anything you've missed, you can scan this QR code, and this will take you to the site where you can kind of search for all of the sessions on demand. But as I said, I'm going to focus on I think about 10 key sessions, and I'll show QR codes for each of them, so you can just scan them quickly and it will take you straight to the page where you can view that session. All right, so to start off then, the first session I want to recommend is Tableau Speed Tips. So this is the session that was presented by Anne Jackson, Lorna Brown and Heidi Kalber. And this is the, if you've ever been to Tableau conference, you've likely seen this session before, but it's quickfire, rapid Tableau tips. And I must say this year they went particularly fast. So it was really, really quick to try and fit as much as they could into the 25-minute or 20-minute slot that they had for their presentation. This session for me is always a conference must see. I mean, you learn so much from watching this session and seeing the tips that they go through. And these are all things you can take back to your own work straight away. The great thing about this session is now you can get it on demand. You can watch it at your own pace. So you can kind of consume a tip, write down some notes, maybe practice it, and then move on to the next tip. When you're watching live, you obviously can't, there's no pause button, so you can't do that. So I highly recommend watching this back, even if you did watch it live, because I guarantee you may have missed something. But yeah, so each presenter shared some bite-sized tips that you can take away. So definitely check that out. And while you're there, try and look for the previous speed tipping sessions from previous TCs on YouTube as well, because they're all really great. And I think Lorna and Anne have collaborated for the last couple of years and presented similar sessions. Okay, so the next session I want to talk about is Find Your Voice, how the community builds confidence. And this is a session presented by Priya Padham, but she also had lots of special guests from the community, and I mean lots. So she brought in lots of different people at all stages of their journey from the community to share quick videos. And the whole essence of Priya's session was for her to kind of present her own Tableau journey, how she found Tableau. Here you can see her first tweet and her first biz, but really how she got to where she is today. And then she welcomed familiar voices from the community to also share their experience and their advice as well, and really how they got involved in the community and how they built their confidence by participating in the community. Everyone's journey is different, and she asked people to contribute from across the globe. So you'll see, and people who are at different stages of their journey. So you've got people that maybe have been using Tableau for a few months versus people that have been using Tableau for over 10 years. And they all came on to kind of share their tips and you know how they got to where they are today. And it was really great to see. And I think this session for me was the closest I felt to actually having like an in-person conference, because I got to see people actually like talk live that I've only ever seen through like a little image on Twitter with their profile picture. So it was really great to see that the person behind the Twitter profile or the Tableau Public profile. And it was really just a nice reminder of how diverse and welcoming and unique our community is. So yeah, definitely check this one out. Okay, next up, we've got Minimalist Designs for Maximum Communication by Chim Nusu. And so Chim he started using Tableau Public around 12 months ago, and he started participating in Make for Monday quite regularly. And we really saw Chim's skills like accelerate massively in a really short period of time. And now he's building like vizzes all the time. They're all fantastic. He has a very minimalistic design and really great design skills. And I think he was Viz of the Day yesterday. So actually, I wrote these slides, or the text on these slides is taken from my blog, which I wrote after conference, but I actually changed his Viz of the Day nominations to 4 because he had a Viz of the Day yesterday. But he's had 4 Viz of the Days in a very short period of time. And he was also a top 10 finalist in the 2021 IronViz competition. So that during his session, he shows how he built his American Student Loans Viz. So it's this Viz that you see here. And he does a live build. So he talks through kind of everything he did to get to the end result. And the way that this Viz works is it's just a single chart. So it really shows how you can communicate multiple messages just using a single chart on your Viz. So I really highly recommend checking out this session. All right, moving on, we have the Performance First Approach to Designing Efficient Workbooks by Ben Brusilli, who's from Interworks. You may notice that I've got a thing about Tableau performance. I mentioned it before, but this was a really great session in terms of learning how to plan, create, and deploy dashboards with efficiency in mind. So Ben shared lots of tips on how you can design more efficient workbooks, and he really did cover everything from the actual dashboard design and considering the design when it, in terms of performance and what kind of designs will impact your performance. Also how to build efficient calculations. So this is like the slide you see here. And and also like just understanding the data flow and what Tableau does under the hood when it's operating, so you can really use that to your advantage to build more efficient workbooks. But there were so many tips shared in this session. I highly recommend checking it out. He also shared some resources as well that will help you reference later should you need to kind of make more performant workbooks. Okay, so moving on, we have the inclusive design, making dashboards engaging, informative, and accessible by my colleague, Emily Kund. You probably know Emily from the community. She's a Tableau ambassador, but Emily has become kind of like a spokesperson for accessibility in the Tableau community, and something that she's really passionate about. And in this session, she highlighted the importance of designing inclusive dashboards. So she really stressed, how inclusive design can help everyone to access and understand data rather than excluding people. So I think a lot of us, inadvertently may exclude some audiences with our designs and just not realize it. So she really flagged some things that we could all be doing better when we design dashboards, and some considerations that I personally hadn't even thought about when it came to accessibility. This session was filled with tips and advice on things that you can do in your own work to make your dashboards more accessible. And this is accessibility for all kinds of different audiences as well. It's not just things like for color blindness. She really thought through everything, and she also touched on the screen reader experience as well, and seeing how you can design better dashboards if you have audiences that are going to be using screen readers. So really, really encourage you to check out this session, and I guarantee you'll learn something new. Okay, next up we have Know Your Audience, Designing Dashboards with the End User in Mind, and this is by Tony Pragoff. This session was actually one of my favorites from the entire conference, and it was one of those ones that really surprised me. Like I don't know Tony, I hadn't heard of this session before. I just happened to see it that being streamed, and I joined, and I was really, really pleased that I did, because it was absolutely fantastic. So in this session, Tony shared her experience of creating dashboards that didn't land with their audience, and she really shared some like personal stories of things that had gone wrong with dashboards in the past, and then what she'd done to like kind of overcome that and prevent that happening in the future. So she mentioned there's issues with data trust or mistrust in the data, or perhaps she designed some dashboards that were confusing, that didn't meet their user needs, and then weren't adopted. And so Tony shared lots of tips that you can implement in your own work to ensure the dashboards are adopted by your audience and really get their point across effectively. And as I said, this session was just filled to the brim with different tips and tricks. So I highly recommend checking it out if you are someone who designs dashboards for other people. Okay, next up we have Make It Better, Tips for Better Dashboard Design by Ken and Kevin Flerledge. Kevin and Ken Flerledge, I'm pretty sure I've presented at Atlanta Tug before. They probably need no introduction, but they're both Tableau Zen masters, and they have a fantastic blog called the FlerledgeTwins.com. But in this session, they had built a kind of less than perfect dashboard, and they used that as kind of their baseline to improve. So together they went through each element of the dashboard and spoke about how it could be changed so it was designed better. So they literally broke apart every single chart you see here. So this is the original. So they went through and it kind of really broke it down to say how you could approach this chart better. And then if you see the end result, it's just completely different. It's completely transformed with all of these tips. So I mean, this session was great. I learned a lot. I learned about different techniques that I could try in my own work, and it's definitely the kind of stuff you could take to work as well. It's not anything, it's all practical advice to help you design dashboards better. So I highly recommend checking this out. This is like a shameless plug from me because I am in this session, but this is Secrets from the Experts. Now, this session is far more about my co-presenters than it is me. I was kind of like the facilitator, but this session was one that I ran with T-Ho and Ziffer and Mexo. And bear in mind, T is based in Singapore, I'm in the UK, and Ziffer is in New Jersey. So we're spread across the globe, and it was incredibly difficult to get us all on at the same time and coordinate this session, but I was really proud in how it turned out, and it was a really great session for me to understand how T and Ziffer had both got involved in the community and understanding their backgrounds and really how they got to where they are today. They're both now Tableau ambassadors. So in this session, they shared a ton of tips on how you can leverage the community to improve your Tableau skills, regardless of where you are on your journey. So it may be that you've been using Tableau for 5 years, let's say, but you've never engaged in the community. So we really spoke about how people in that situation could get involved, because T was in that situation. She'd been using Tableau for a while, didn't know the community existed, and then discovered the community through a user group, just like this one. And then her kind of Tableau skills skyrocketed because she found out about all the other things she could get involved in and all the support she could get from the community. We spoke about multiple ways that you could get involved, how you can meet other community members, and really how you can leverage all the resources that are out there. So I highly recommend checking this out if you perhaps want to learn more about the community and the community projects and all the different ways there are to get involved. Okay, I think this is the last one I have. This one is Tableau Zen Masters share their best advice. And this was Quickfire presentations from Zen Masters. There were so many presentations that they actually had to split this session into 2 parts. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to record for this session, so I'm not in it because I was so busy doing my other session. And I really regret that because this session was fantastic. So each Zen Master was given 2 minutes to present anything they wanted, whether that be live tips or some advice for people getting involved. Just they had free reign to do anything they would like. And so as a result, the presentations included everything from like hands-on tips or general advice or all kinds of things. Now, this screenshot I have here is from Jeff Schaefer. So he shared some Quickfire Tableau tips, because kind of like that, he often does that at a conference. This was really great to see. We saw other people sharing maybe just a singular tip, but in more detail. But it was just really great to see all the Zen Masters come together and share some unique perspectives and tips that, again, you can apply in your own work. So I always see this as an extension of the speed tipping session, because there was lots of stuff in here in a similar vein. Okay, so most of what I presented today was taken from my blog. So I wrote a blog after TC, which covered more of the community aspect. So I spoke in detail on the blog around the sessions I've just mentioned, as well as things like brain dates and other kind of activities that happened at conference. So if you want to check that out, you can find that on my blog, sarahlovesdata.co.uk. And yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining me today. Thank you to Atlanta Tug for having me. Thank you to Karen for accepting my request to speak. And then if you want to reach out to me, you can find me at Sarah Loves Data on Twitter, or sarahlovesdata.com as well. Sorry, that's actually wrong. It's sarahlovesdata.co.uk is my website. But thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the session.
That was awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much. And I love the codes. I don't know if you guys were scanning those, but that was really, really helpful. Like during a virtual call, I haven't seen anyone do that before, but it was really, really useful. This was
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, I've seen someone do it before, so I was like, let me just do that because it's so much easier, and I've got a ton of links otherwise. So yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get the whole link sometimes, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Sarah, that was incredible. There's so much that I want to go back and rewatch and unpack, and so everyone's asking, people are asking for what links, and so the fact that you wrap that up in a nice, with a big bow of here's my blog post, it gives all that. I just sent the link to the blog post to everyone.
So in fact, this QR code at the end, it actually takes you to the slides. So you'll go to the slides, and then from there, you'll have the QR codes.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of it goes full circle.
It's been so much fun. I mean, I feel like I just went to the conference all over again.
And Nelson, it feels like such a long time ago. Like when I was putting this together, I was like, wow, it feels like months ago, and it was only like what, a month ago.
Time flies.
So it's a nice refresher. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So good. Thank you so much.
I asked in the chat if anyone has questions, but feel free to add any questions in the Q&A if you have any, and I'll be sure to ask them. Sarah, I know you mentioned like brain dates a few times, and I've really enjoyed the brain dates as well. Do you feel like, I think there's a lot of folks in ATUG that don't have the opportunity to go to the conference typically, like cannot attend, like the company just isn't going to send them, to the face-to-face conference. It's pretty expensive and you got to do travel. And do you feel like you get a similar experience, or how do you, if you feel like you're unable for whatever reason, do you feel like some of those things kind of like could help like bridge that gap kind of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the brain dates is the closest you're going to get to meeting people in person, right? And I think brain dates are even better than some the conference experience in some aspects, because at the conference you might see someone in the corridor and you'll just talk about, you know, random stuff. How are you? Like what sessions you've been going to? Whereas brain dates are tailored conversations around specific topics, so you can meet people who have similar interests to you, so you can all sit together for, I don't know how long it is, maybe 40 minutes to talk about that one topic and get all the experts in the same room. Whereas at conference it's very difficult. You might want to meet multiple people, but you can't find them all, and then you don't have those conversations. So yeah, absolutely. I'd say definitely take advantage of brain dates, and they aren't just limited to TC. So that Tableau run them, I think, on a quarterly basis now. So if you miss them at TC, don't worry, there'll be some more brain dates coming up in the new year where you can get involved.
Sarah, one of the things that I have experienced, I'd be interested in your take of, like, I think the first few times you go to conference, like you're like, hey, I want to learn as much as I can, sessions. And then there's kind of like this transition of like, I want to meet more people. And then to your point, like, I think you get to a point where it's like, man, I want to do brain dates on these things, or like make sure I connect with this person or whatever. Like, as you've gone through your journey, like, can you, like, is that a similar journey to like what you've experienced? Then like, kind of how do you feel like as you go through, like, I think as we think about, because I'm excited, you know, Tableau's kind of saying, hey, it could be late spring, early summer, and we get to do this thing all over again. But like, as we prime that a little bit, like, would you kind of say like first two conferences, like kind of do this, and then like if it's your third or fourth, kind of do this? Like, any guidance to the folks out here on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my first conference was back then it was a London like TC back in, I want to say 2015, maybe, yeah, 2015 I think it was. I went to that conference, I spoke to nobody the entire time. Literally went there, I was completely on my own. I went to a lot of hands-on sessions, as you described, Nelson, so the kind of like sessions where you could like deep dive on calculations and really learn something thoroughly, and I didn't have a good time, right? It was just I didn't really know the community existed. I think I went up to Andy Kriebel actually and was like, oh, you're Andy Kriebel, like he was a celebrity, which was like really embarrassing, but he was like the only person I recognized because I followed his blog, and back then like the community wasn't such a big deal as it is now, but on the back of that I joined Twitter, and that's kind of like how I discovered the community. My first US conference was Austin 2016, and I had a bit of a unique experience in the sense that I actually won a ticket through the Information Lab through a competition they ran at the Europe conference earlier that year. So I kind of buddied up with them, and so I was really lucky that I kind of went to the conference with Zen Masters, and they kind of knew everyone, and I was just like tagged along and just met all these people as a result. But I still went to those kind of like deep dive sessions and went to learn about LODs and that kind of thing. And just as you described, Nelson, as I've kind of progressed, I've moved, my focus has shifted, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to go to sessions, I can watch those later. I want to really maximize those in-person kind of experiences, whether that be brain dates or going out for dinner or just having like one-on-one conversations with people that I've not seen for a long time. So I'd say if you are going to conference for the first time, and maybe you don't know anyone, I would say balance it out, because you can always watch sessions back later. So just try and maximize that in-person experience. Go to brain dates, meet with people you don't know. Chances are you'll make friends. There'll be other people in the same situation as you, or you can hang out with them for the rest of the conference, and just really maximize those chances to meet people that you wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to meet in person.
I love that. That's so good. Your story reminds me, and some of you in ATUG land may know of her, but Michelle Gaudet was somebody that like Tom Brown like put his arm around, like I don't know anybody here, I just want to meet people, and he's like, well, come here, and like he like walked her around, I want to say in like 2018.
Yeah, I remember
like,
yeah,
and so she like became like instant, you know, following everybody on Twitter, and now she's like this rock star. She's awesome. She's a good friend and friend of ATUG, so, and Anna knows her very well, so yes. I love that story, and it's absolutely true, right? Go meet people. I love that, so super cool.
Yeah, and it was just like that because Tom actually called me and said I'd won, and I thought it was a wind up, like I was convinced that he was some kind of joke, but it wasn't.
So cool.
I would add to that is one thing that I learned also, in addition to what you said, that you can always watch the the recordings later, you can also always sleep later. You don't need it during.
Yes.
You can sleep later.
That's the
Yeah.
extrovert. Anna and I are the extroverts, and Karen too. Actually, Frank, you're stuck with this. But like the extroverts, you'll sleep when we get home, right? Like the
But yeah.
introverts are like so
Too
many
much
people,
going on.
so many people. But yes, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
It's
And I
overwhelming.
totally,
feel like
normally I like
after-
3 hours sleep at conference.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say one year I didn't even go to bed. We just carried on like all through the night into the next day.
Yeah, you'll regret it later. It'll be great. Awesome. Well, so this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're gonna transition, jump over. I think Anna, you've got a Kahoot to invite the crew.
All right, so we're loading the game pin, as it says. This is how you're gonna get in. So if this is your first time here, we'll give you a couple minutes here, but you better get on that browser or on your phone, and you're gonna go to www.kahoot.it, or if you're one of the soldiers that have been through here and they understand the real process, is you probably have the app on your phone. On the app, you can just enter the game pin, and that's your control. So I got some people jumping in already.
There
So
we go.
what
Y'all come on.
I hope you
Lovely.
guys hear the music. You like it?
I do. It feels very kind of ice dancey, right? I started to get into like Frozen. It's kind of like Frozen time of the year. Like I'm gonna get some Disney Plus going later. We may do like a Frozen marathon a little bit later on. So this has me getting in that mood. So.
Oh, and I have to say, earlier I could not get my Zoom to mute, and my dog was barking like crazy. And I feel sorry, Sarah. I have to apologize to you. And so if my dog starts barking while I'm not on mute this time, I apologize. But he just likes to be a part of ATUG. He's a 100-pound Great Pyrenees. His name is Angus, like Angus Young. And so I he's just trying to be part of the action. And I did not want him interrupting Sarah, but I just could not get it. Sometimes technology doesn't play nice. So
I'm looking at my dog over here who's asleep on our super large like beanbag chair thingy over here. But Lord help us if the FedEx delivery person shows up.
that's exactly what happened.
It's gonna be.
It was Amazon, and I'm like, what do I'm fumbling, trying to get it to stop. Anyway, it is what it is. So it looks like we got 17 folks. We gotta get some folks in here. Come on, 17. We got a few more of y'all. We got more participants. This will be fun. So what do we have for the winner or winners? We have a gift card. We have a $30 gift card for all winners. So that would be the first, second, and third, I believe. I see the word winners. So that's a lot. Oh, that's a gift card to the Tableau store.
Absolutely. And you can swag it up.
Last year. This is my Tableau. You can't see it says Tableau. My Tableau fancy glass that I drink with my pinky out.
And you're showing me up. I'm looking feverishly for anything Tableau near my desk. I got a bagel. So I feel
Hard to see that it says it, but these are really cool.
I got one of those corksicle kind of wood look mugs that Tableau did. There's like Tableau Partners or something. Slick. I really like that. Drinkware is very in right now.
No, this is nice. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. It looks like we're ready to go. Okay, so get those game hands ready. Oh, Karen's got her. Can't read it because I think it's because the light's on. But I have one of somewhere around here.
Sure.
All right, let's go get started.
Come back when you're not on mute. We miss you.
I love Karen. That's awesome. All right, here we go.
I didn't realize I was on mute. Okay.
All right.
All right.
We got 8 questions. Where can you go to find over 3 million visualizations shared publicly with the world? Sarah may have talked about this particular platform today.
Meta. I had a buddy who just went to go work at Meta, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember now." So funny.
Awesome. Nobody got it
Good
wrong.
job.
Well
That was the first unanimous answer we've ever had. That
I
is
think
fantastic.
ever. I think ever. Well done.
Bigger.
Madison was the fastest.
Love
So
it.
good.
Great job,
All
y'all.
right. Number 2, where was our ATUG networking event held this fall? Also,
It was
You were-
awesome.
you saw this earlier in
Mhm.
today's show.
Ooh, and we should do another one where it's like, where should the be?
Where should the next one be? And so they have to know the future to get it right.
I mean, just like give us your spots.
Well, there we go. Scofflaw. That's it.
Monday night was
Wow.
also popular. Good to know.
Yeah, I did throw in another West Midtown brewery there just to throw you off.
Yeah,
Bigger is in the lead. All right, number 3. How many current TUG ambassadors are there? That's total worldwide.
Ooh, what a
And
question.
this is just user group ambassadors, by the way. It's not all ambassadors, just user group.
And we are fortunate to have, I believe, 3 of them with us today, including Sarah. So love it. Super exciting.
30 is the answer. Yeah, that's a lot of user group ambassadors.
Yeah.
We have well over 300 total ambassadors worldwide as well.
The
All right.
peeps make it all happen.
Brian,
Brian,
what did you
hopping
say?
in. I said the peeps that make it all happen.
Oh, I was thinking, my brain went peeps like that you eat, and I was confused. All right, how many Hall of Fame Zen Masters are there?
Good question. I used to know the answer to this question. I feel like I have to guess now.
I'm looking at the way that this question pulled up, and I think I may have messed something up here. I hope not. I know the answer is right, but I may have actually chosen 2 answers, and I did.
Perfect. And you
Okay,
did.
so I made a mistake. So some of you who chose 7, I guess you got some credit, but it's really 12. It was 12. That was my mistake. I didn't fix my. Oh well, I made 2 mistakes today. I mean, but that's 2 more than I normally make. So.
That's 7 less than I know. I mean, like I'd have been like, I make mistakes all the time. Like, just
All right,
trying to count up.
Sarah, look at that. All right,
I tried to get this one wrong as well. I got it right.
which ocean is Christmas Island located? So now we're going into the holidays here. We're going to include some holidays. This is a hard one. It doesn't make any think.
I have no idea.
I didn't know. I got it wrong.
I don't have to pick.
Oh, yep.
Well done.
Only 2 people got it. It's Indian Ocean. I
Right, and
guess.
the Indian Ocean is one of the smaller oceans. So, like, if you were going with probability, it did not play in your favor there.
I went with probability and went Pacific, so
Well.
I was going. That's my bad.
Multi-select.
I
Here
did it
we
again.
go.
I did it again.
Ah!
That's what happens when I do
Everybody's a
this
winner.
last
Here we
minute.
go.
All right, I think we can get this right because of math. Hanukkah began November 28th. When did it end? You know Hanukkah, and you can do math. You can get this one right.
I feel like the date math is not fun. So, Godspeed to everybody. Here we go, peeps. Make it happen.
All right.
Well, I think the 6th was correct, right?
We're
Right.
yeah, it's six, but
Everybody selected the 8th. You got a freebie.
I sorry, y'all. I made mistakes with the multi. I guess I just clicked the wrong one today. I'm usually on fire with this, and
Yeah.
usually, well, I'm blaming Nathan because he always checks my mistakes.
Yeah.
He
Some
wasn't here.
substitute I am. All right.
Well, I didn't ask you to. Which country is the largest exporter of Christmas trees?
Great question.
Here's
I have
only
no
one.
idea. So I would never even thought about like exporting Christmas trees. Like,
Right. They're back in your backyard. We live
in
in
the backyard,
the
right?
South. You got
What do we do?
every
So interesting.
tree is a Christmas tree, right?
Denmark.
Yes, Denmark.
That was using your thinking pants. Good job, team.
Here we
Wow.
go. Good job. Let's see.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, wow.
All right.
All right.
Last question. Here we go, peeps.
All right. Bring Atlanta with the holidays together. In what decade did Coca-Cola start using Santa Claus? And I think Santa Claus is spelled wrong in their advertisements. I did copy paste this.
Legal.
question.
Legal
So-
club. This is like the Tim Allen movie, right?
Right. I copy pasted this question. Nelson knows I was like scrambling at the last minute with this one. Not usually my go-to.
Oh,
It is the
that's
1920s.
100 years ago. Do y'all realize that?
Was it? Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
I
like
didn't-
the 20s. Like, it's in the 20s.
Gosh. Wow,
We're old.
getting old.
All right.
Let's see who our three winners are. Hopefully I didn't mess anyone up with my
PNR. Love it. Brian.
And number one is, I wonder if it's Nikki.
Hey.
All right. What we need from you is if you could just send us an email, your email address.
Yes.
So we can get you your information. Excuse me, just send direct to one of us or just to all hosts or panelists. You can send us your email address and we'll make sure you get your prize. All right.
Love it.
Well, thanks for your patience with my mistakes. The only
All
ones
right.
I've made all month.
Hey,
Only-
you've
only
reached your quota. That's good. It's really just the 9th of December. So I'm sure perfection is in your future.
Oh, Nikki is Nicole Klassen. I did not know
Right.
that.
High fives, Nicole. All right. What else
Brian,
we have left?
congratulations.
We've got, let me share the screen again. We've just had one slide. I'm going to pull it right back up. Okay, just to prompt folks, if anyone has, you guys probably remember taking a poll. There was one on LinkedIn and we've asked a few times, like at the end of the meetings, for feedback and any suggestions around meetings and how are things going to look going forward. And I wanted to share the results of the last poll that was on LinkedIn. So just so everyone can see kind of like how that shook out. We asked about like, hey, tell us, we'd love to hear from you. Are you excited about resuming meetings in person? Have virtual meetings actually made it easier for you to attend? Like, do you have any thoughts or suggestions? And so we heard back from a lot of you guys, but ultimately you can see here, we had like almost 80 folks respond and 2/3 prefer meeting virtually. So we still definitely have a group of people that really miss the in-person meetings. And I think even a lot of the people that answered, they would prefer meeting virtually. I can kind of just tell from some of like the comments and suggestions and, conversations I've had with folks, I think there's still an interest in getting together, perhaps maybe not every month, maybe it's easier to avoid the commute and the traffic and the parking for the, majority of time. And it's fine to do it virtually. But I think a lot of folks seem to enjoy like the networking aspect of like getting together. Maybe it's once a quarter, maybe it's every few months or whatever, but we'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. Feel free to let us know, what do you think? Like, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from ATUG members. Nelson, Anna, y'all have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's Katie did a great job. It's not either or. I don't think we're going to go back 100% to in-person anytime soon, but I think as we hear more from you guys, especially those that went to like the in-person last time, like we talked about maybe that becomes a thing that we do like twice a year where it's like a social thing, and then we do like another one where it's more like the old traditional, everybody get together, we're gonna do presentation type of things, but it's maybe more like once every 3 months where it's in person and the others are virtual. I don't know, like,
And there was
as we go.
There was a large group that came to Scofflaw. So I think that there are at least 100 people out there that want to meet in person. So if we can do that every once a quarter or whatever it is, I think that was a great opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah. So keep us in the loop what you guys are thinking. Fill up the chat, hit us up on LinkedIn. These are all good things.
And definitely let us know if your company is interested or able to host a group. I think that's going to be another challenge for us, is just a lot of companies are perhaps reopening and the office is allowing people to work in person again, but maybe not external folks, maybe not inviting back like contractors or outside folks. So We'd love to hear from folks who can host, if that's even a possibility.
Well, this has been a fun and very useful virtual tug today. I don't know if Sarah can come back on camera or not. I really wanted to hear her voice one more time. Sarah, I miss you.
I miss you too, Anna. I love your accent.
I don't even think I have one. Isn't that funny how you don't know? I think your
Oh
own
God,
self
you
has
do.
one.
The good
Thank you so
Southern
much for today.
Atlanta
Thank you
Southern.
for having me. It was really fun, and I'm glad you enjoyed the presentation.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. All right, y'all. Well, we look forward to seeing everybody a year from now, in 2022.
A year
We
from
will be
now or next
back
year?
next year, sorry. Next year, in 2022. January, it's gonna be awesome. And then hopefully by then we have some details on the upcoming Tableau conference. So in person.
So again, yeah, January is, if you missed it, it's virtual and it's going to be amazing. So with Jade and Paul, so don't miss it.
Absolutely. With that, thanks to all the co-leaders, Jen in the background, everybody that makes this thing happen. Super grateful for everybody. So we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
all.
you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Bye.